Okay, I'm here with Minority Leader Tom Sadi. I'd just like to get your comments on tonight's vote on the parade ordinance.
Well, I was very disappointed that the council did not pass an amendment that I offered. You know, we do need some regulations, limitations on parades, but this ordinance went far beyond that. Regulated public assemblies, picket lines, demonstrations. It went far beyond what was necessary. The amendment that the minority party offered, that was supported by many Republicans, would have made it a much better ordinance, and unfortunately that was defeated by the mayor exercising his prerogative to vote.
And what do you think about the comments made by Common Council President Joe Cavo?
Well, I found them personally offensive because if the amendment passed, I was prepared to vote for the ordinance, as were many other members who voted against the ordinance because our amendment, a good amendment to make this a better ordinance, was defeated. So his comments were wrong, and I thought they were improper.
All right, what can the public do now in terms of voicing their criticism or concerns about the ordinance? Because it seems there's a lot of people here in the public during the public hearing that had a lot of concerns about the ordinance. What can they do at this point?
Well, the concerns on both sides. There were many people who spoke about these impromptu or spontaneous parades and demonstrations on Main Street that block traffic. The problem is tonight that this ordinance would not address those issues. Those issues would be addressed by police enforcement of our existing traffic laws. So people need to understand that this proposed ordinance wouldn't even address these impromptu or spontaneous parades. What the public needs to do is speak up, say they want parades to have some limitations, some limited regulations, but that they don't want an ordinance which restricts public assembly in our public parks that applies to 25 people or more. Our amendment would have made it 100 people or more, because 25 people, 50 people, 75, to my knowledge, has not been the problem. It's been large assemblies, and it's been spontaneous ones, which the police will enforce with existing laws.
I'm here with Dwayne Perkins. I'd like to get your opinions and your comments about today's vote on the parade ordinance.
I was a little disappointed. It was like having a flashback from the December 6, 2006 meeting when we had a chance to fix an ordinance and we weren't allowed to. The Republican leadership, again, moved the question and took the opportunity to make changes to that particular ordinance off the table.
All right, and what did you think about Councilman Joe Cavo's comments about being an obstructionist?
Those comments are disheartening. We worked very hard as council members to put forth ordinances that are good. This particular ordinance went beyond its scope and became a little bit more encompassing. It kind of trapped in people who actually had no real concern with that type of parade ordinance.
So I'd like to get your comments and your feelings about today's vote on the parade ordinance.
Well, as you can see, that the vote was extremely close. That there was issues on both sides of the coin regarding the parade ordinance. I believe there's going to be changes coming. I think it was warranted tonight. There was good issues why we should vote against it, but it seems like that the council did not want to hear some of those issues. So I believe probably the next month or so we're going to see some changes come in, because some of the amendments tonight were valid issues that still need to be addressed to make this a better ordinance.
I'd like to get your feelings about Joe Cavo's comments that he made today.
Cavo's comment was totally out of line. It was not the first time he'd made comments that way. I believe the council's job is to debate, to get the issues out and make the decision based on the facts that are presented. So I believe that Council President Cavo's comments were totally out of line this evening, and he definitely owes the council an apology for such a comment.
I'm here with Councilman Paul Rotello, and I'd like to get your comments on today's vote on the parade ordinance.
Well, it was a little complicated. Obviously, the majority of the people on the council are against the ordinance in the aggregate, or at least highly ambivalent about the ordinance, and we try to do a parliamentary procedure where we send it back to committee to have it worked on. There's some fundamental problems with the ordinance. There's some language in there that's contradictory with other language, and we needed to tighten this up. Regardless of your feelings of whether we need a parade or assembly ordinance to begin with, the ordinance that we approved tonight, yes, it was unfortunately approved, is internally inconsistent and needs to be fixed. So we were all, I think, disappointed that it happened the way that it did. I have to say this, that I was heartened that a majority of the council felt strongly enough about this to vote to recommit. It was a 10-9 vote, and we were actually missing a Democrat. Fred Biscani was out of town on business. It would have been 11-9 at that point had he actually been here. Unfortunately, due to that 10-9 vote, the mayor exercised his prerogative, so he caused it to be a tie vote, and that meant that the motion to recommit, to send it back to committee to get worked on, and also the same, a next motion to have an amendment added, an important amendment, several important amendments, did not pass because the mayor jumped in. But the will of the council was clear tonight. They voted 10-9 to either recommit or go with those amendments, and it was the mayor who, stopped that.
Do you think it was appropriate for the mayor, seeing that the vote was 10-9, to step in and use his power to make a tie vote?
It's a tough question. I really believe in democracy, and I really believe in a charter, a working charter. And if the charter grants the mayor the power to do that, he has a right to exercise that power. Now, I can disagree with him on political grounds, but I really can't disagree with him on process grounds. I mean, if I was the mayor and I really felt strongly about something and that was a tool in my toolkit, I would hope that I could do that and not have repercussions. I would have hoped that the mayor had simply gone with the will of the council. So that is a bit disappointing, but I can't fault him on exercising the process.